Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Consider myself a conspiracy buff at all, but when they get a lot of coincidences, I get a little suspicious and call me crazy.
Polls, weird talk shows, crazy groups every Sunday telling you what you think.
The Republicans and the Democrats conspire with one another, which they do.
There is a conspiracy by big business against American democracy.
We know that there was a conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
There was no conspiracy.
Was there a conspiracy?
A communist conspiracy directed out of Moscow.
The right-wing conspiracy.
Communist conspiracy is a deliberate and predictable plan of action to subvert the world.
Right-wing conspiracy.
International criminal conspiracy.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
There are all these conspiracy theories.
Was there a conspiracy? I don't know.
Perhaps themselves even involved in the conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
No evidence
of a conspiracy.
Anybody would have to be a fool nowadays to dismiss conspiracies.
Conspiracy theory.
Cockeyed conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory exists because there really is conspiracy.
But they never told a soul about it. In fact, they engaged in a vast conspiracy.
You get accused of being a conspiracy theorist, of being a paranoid.
The historical context of actual conspiracy.
A conspiracy of bad people.
As always happens at some point in a conspiracy. One night, Cousin Eddie got drunk in a honky-tonk and spilled the beans.
There was a conspiracy and government was involved in it.
Conspiracy existing within the United States government.
There was a conspiracy.
A
conspiracy by the CIA.
The conspiracy of a few.
Dark, secretive, conspiratorial, evil.
Then it was certainly a deliberate conspiracy.
High-level conspiracy.
The do's and the don'ts and the rights and the wrongs of the various conspiracy theories that are good.
Possibility of a conspiracy.
In a moral sense, I think it was a conspiracy.
One conspiracy, that's all I'm talking about.
Full of speculation, conspiracy theories, and the like. And what's going on here?
You began to wonder what was really happening in America. I mean, was there a vast conspiracy afoot?
You know, there could have been a conspiracy.
Do you think you're obsessed with conspiracy?
Conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy.
I'm afraid you'll catch me. I'm afraid you'll catch me.
A conspiracy would do the job nicely.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of your favorite Monday night show, Baseless Conspiracies. As always, joined by Zak Paine. Zak, how are you doing, sir?
John, I'm doing good. I was
nice.
Pleasantly surprised today. Well, maybe not even pleasantly surprised, just tickled pink to see that John Brennan's worst fears were coming true in Fort Pierce, Florida.
What was that?
The grand jury that was impaneled in Fort Pierce, Florida, started today. He was subpoenaed for it.
Yeah, I thought he was already subpoenaed.
He was. What his worst fear is that the case and the grand jury was given to Judge Eileen Cannon.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
I didn't see that.
Could have went to any other judge in the area. And he and his legal team sent a letter to the head judge in charge, I don't know what their official title is, head district judge or whatever, begging for this case not to go before Judge Eileen Cannon. And God is good because Judge Eileen Cannon has the case. I love it.
That is awesome. I don't know how grand juries can send out subpoenas before they've been impaneled, though.
Well, it's the U.S. attorney that sends the subpoena, because they need the evidence to present to the grand jury for the grand jury to decide whether or not there's enough evidence to go forward with the charges to actually indict.
Gotcha. Well, that's exciting. And if I was that district judge who's like, please don't give me, Eileen Cannon, I would every time be like, okay, that's who you're getting.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it. Be like, okay, sure, Joe. I guess in this case, John. Sure, John. We'll make sure that Eileen doesn't get this case. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just hands it right over to Eileen.
I am curious what you think of the Powell grand jury situation.
I'm excited about it. I mean, it may end up being absolutely nothing if the case has to be brought in the DC area. That's unfortunate. I don't know if we're going to be lucky. Well, he definitely testified in person. So yeah, I guess it all depends on what the investigation is able to dig up. If they're able to dig up something like incontrovertible, which shows that that he was fully aware of all of these cost overruns, or that these amenities were being put in that were totally unnecessary. I mean, I don't know what kind of communications exist, so it remains to be seen. I'm hopeful. I am reservedly hopeful, I suppose you should say.
Can you guess my take on it? I bet you can by now.
I absolutely can guess your take, John. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
It's totally fucking nothing. Nothing's going to happen, and you're not even thinking about it on your radar.
Well, yeah, I mean, I covered it on my show. I just think it's silly. These the line to Congress indictment or charge or whatever, referral. Like, you guys are illegitimate anyway. Like, who fucking cares? If I was like, Zach, man, hey, I bought you a house. Why don't you come outside? I want to take you to it and show you. And then we go out to the driveway and I have a Barbie house sitting there. It's like, this is your house. I bought you. That's the kind of accountability we're getting versus the kind of accountability that I think we deserve. I think we just all deserve a house, and we're all just getting like Barbie houses and being like, see, guys, feel good. I think it's stupid.
Well, I personally don't think that like this is going to be the sum total of justice and accountability. I think that this is merely the opening salvo.
Mm-hmm.
Once,
just like Comey was,
just like well, I mean, Comey's not done yet. I think Comey is going to get drawn into the Fort Pierce grand jury as well. I mean, it is a 10-year conspiracy to destroy President Trump and to usurp the will of the American people.
So by that math, based on previous experience, it's a 30 to 40 year, like, until we get any form of like investigations, crimes, or indictments, reports.
I mean, that's assuming that the grand jury or the U.S. attorney is starting at zero. I personally think that this investigation was, begun a long time ago. I mean, I think that the entire time that they've been moving through this, various phases of this of this plan, I think that they've been keeping track and making note of everything that's been going on. I mean, I don't think they're ignorant to the fact that there was a conspiracy back during President Trump's first term.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I do think we're going to get some form of accountability. They've been dead silent on the D class for the most part. We got a couple emails today from Arctic Frost, but ever since Charlie Kirk's assassination, we have not seen the D class that I had personally grown accustomed to.
Yeah, we didn't get any D class on Charlie Kirk's death either.
No. Candace Owens. I haven't heard from Candace Owens in a while either. That's been nice.
She's definitely still publishing.
Is she?
Yeah, but I've completely extricated myself from it because the whole thing is such a shit show, and I've personally become blackpilled on the Charlie Kirk situation. I don't. Yeah, I don't think that. I personally just feel that there's no way that we're going to get anything approaching an answer on it. Which is really too bad. I mean, it takes a lot to make me go down that road. Now, it doesn't mean that something won't happen in the near future, but or even the distant future. But I can't do it to myself anymore.
Are you noticing any errors with the stream? Somebody said the stream is messed up.
Personally, I'm not noticing anything with the stream, but I definitely see people saying it in the chat. But then I see Snapcake saying, "Don't feed the trolls." So I don't know.
Yeah. Rumble is tripping, they're saying. What the heck?
I
don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's Rumble Studio.
And we're featured. Isn't that great?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see until Fresh and Fit. I wonder if we brought on like
bring Marvin and the crew in here.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
just chicks in bikinis.
I don't know. I mean, what does Bernie Brett say? We just need like 2 or 3 solid 5s and just, hey, Rumble, we got a proposition for you. We'll start the show like normal, and then before you make the switch to Fresh and Fit, we'll figure something out.
Bring out the OnlyFans models.
So dumb. But yeah, man, what else is going? There's one other thing today. Silver's like just going berserk, which is cool. What was that?
Wait, hold on. Happening? You're saying, where did you find this?
What'd you find?
She found a rubber band that has a bunch of hair in it. It looks like her color hair. but she doesn't put like rubber bands in her hair.
Could it have been? Didn't you have the kids there?
We did have the kids here, but I don't know that the kids have. Well, I mean, son. Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, okay. Maybe it was Eric's girlfriend. Check with the girl. I don't know.
Is she like low key accusing you of something right now?
No. She's thinking that somebody broke into the house.
Oh, and left a rubber band.
Well, they might have left some trace evidence, something for the forensic files.
Yeah,
another conspiracy.
It wouldn't surprise me if you had like something in your house that you could like run DNA, and like get a match. Like, it was Phil from down the street.
You want to know something funny? Earlier today, I was on GovDeals and I was looking at surplus scientific equipment, and I saw like cryogenic freezing chambers and a number of like biomedical devices that I was thinking like, man, that would be sweet to have at home. But like, what would I freeze? Well, then where am I going to get the liquid nitrogen? I could probably figure it out.
Freeze some sperm, and then eventually, you could have a whole little colony of Zaks. You can send them to Mars. I bet you could sell them to Elon. I bet he's going to be wanting some when he goes.
I would consider allowing them to clone me to send me to Mars.
Would you really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever want or allow myself to be cloned.
Another version of yourself out there.
Like, because what happens? Does that person then have a soul too?
That's really the question, isn't it? I mean, all kinds of ethical conundrums. I'm also of the opinion that cloning as a practice has already happened. We talked about it a little bit. I mean, we did a whole show on cloning, but I think that one of the most, like, in terms of like physicality, the daughter of Anton LaVey and Taylor Swift are dead ringers for each other.
Do you have pictures?
Yeah, hold on. I can pull one up.
Hey, if you guys are having trouble with the stream, make sure you give us a follow over on YouTube. I can post the link in right here. And I'm retarded. I just wrote, if you guys are having the stream, and then posted a link. So I meant to say, if you guys are having trouble with the stream, you can watch this over on YouTube. It's real live over there. Ash says 200% because 100% was cloned. Get it? I feel like you'd have, if you have one soul right now and you get cloned, I feel like you would be splitting yourself and your soul in half. And then you keep diminishing and diminishing.
I think that any new version of you would have a different soul.
I don't think that's right.
Well, the only way that you could clone someone would be to, okay, so let's just, go through the science. So you're taking the cell with the genetic information from, the adult host.
Mm-hmm.
You're inserting that into the ovum of a human female with no DNA. So you've got like the complete DNA profile. You put it in there. I guess maybe you zap it like Frankenstein or something like that, and it begins to divide, and then it begins to grow into a small baby. And as long as you get it into a human being so that it can, gestate, then you're going to have a baby. Now, that can only happen because the concept, of course, it is like an abomination. I can already see people in the chat saying, this is bad. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying that the concept for the creation of that baby is the same as essentially what happens in nature, except you're taking the DNA profile, which is already created by your mother and father, and then you're allowing that to become another version of yourself. Now, I really wouldn't do that. I was just kind of playing around when I said that I would send my clones to
now
Mars.
that he's thought about it.
No. I definitely have thought about this on many different occasions. But I think that, it's only because of the system that God created that multiplication of cells would become a baby and then would become a human.
Let me God wouldn't allow that.
Well, I think God has allowed it. That's the thing. So
no, I'm saying God wouldn't allow them to have a soul.
I mean,
I feel like it's cheating.
I mean, it is cheating. It definitely is cheating because you're like circumventing the natural process. But You know, I mean, people said the same thing about in vitro fertilization. And I mean, there's all kinds of IVF babies running around. And I just find it difficult to imagine that a human would exist on this earth without a soul, because they would.
I don't know. Have you seen the liberals we're up against?
I think that they can have a soul and still not have a fully functional brain.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I don't know, man. Cloning. We've done cloning as a topic before. I'm pretty sure a while ago. We've done so many episodes. But that one always I always come back to, you get a news story now and then where it's like, oh, somebody cloned something again, or it's like, holy shit. Like when is this going to stop? But it never will. ZBM says the only human you could successfully clone are redheads. No soul, no problem. They would blend in easily. Amen.
That's funny.
Ash says, I agree, John, but I can see that God could decide to give one of them a soul if he wanted to. Well, yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah. Okay, so take a look at these two women. I tried to add it to the stage and it didn't work, so you're going to have to do it.
Oh, I'm presenting a different screen. Let's do that there.
Okay. On the left is Taylor Swift. On the right is Anton LaVey's daughter, Zena Shrek. And they look remarkably similar.
Anton LaVey?
Anton LaVey, the founder of Satanism.
Hold up here.
Let me pull up another picture and we can examine her instead. Okay. You see that?
Let me switch screens. Jeez. I mean, definitely similarities.
They are very similar. Now, Taylor Swift, I'm pretty sure, is at a nose job. So this is not her normal nose. And you can see that there's, perhaps a little bit more bulbous tip to Zena Shrek. She's got a little bit higher bridge right here.
What's her name?
Zena Shrek.
Like Xena as in Warrior Princess?
Like Zeena.
Well, that's the worst way to spell Xena. If I was going to spell Xena, I'd spell it with the X.
She used to go by Zena LaVey, which is, of course, her father's last name.
Okay, so she's 62 now.
Yeah.
She is a singer and a musician. Holy shit, that might be Taylor Swift. They cloned Xena, and she became Taylor Swift.
Well,
So Taylor Swift doesn't have a soul? Is that what we're settling on?
I mean, I guess if we're going to assume that cloned humans don't have souls, but I mean, if they don't have souls, then it becomes permissible to do whatever you want to them, which I think is unethical. I think that even if a person is cloned, they should maintain the full rights that a natural born person would have.
I don't know if I agree with that. Just because somebody doesn't have a soul doesn't change your moral standards and your ethics of like what you do and how you treat other people. Like I wouldn't treat anybody worse if they didn't have a soul.
I'm not saying we would treat
I'd open a door for Taylor Swift if she's walking in the building I'm in.
I'm saying that society might decide that because this is a soulless being, you can treat them however you want. Maybe it's okay to have them as slaves. Maybe it's okay to pay them less money. Maybe it's okay to, push them off a bridge. Who cares? They don't have a soul. It's not a real person. They don't even have any parents. Who's going to miss them?
Yeah. Well, now you're just talking about migrants.
I could see the argument being made.
Yeah, it would never get that far in the discussion. This is just a baseless conspiracies discussion about whether or not clones have souls. We'll never actually get to a point, probably not in my lifetime anyway, where we're discussing this at scale and whether we should treat these people. We got robots, man. They're use them before they do clones. It's probably cheaper.
Those robots are not particularly good at what they do yet.
Not yet.
Even like Atlas, that's the Boston Dynamics robot. That's probably like the best and most dexterous robot they have. It's now working in factories, but it's still slow. It's still kind of fumbles around. It's got to practice a lot before it can like take something from shelf A and put it on shelf B.
Did you see, I think it was Elon Musk who just the other day posted that in like the next 3-4 years, robots are going to be better surgeons than like everybody's just going to be getting their healthcare from robots.
I mean, they already have robots doing complicated surgery, and they have for many years. I mean, it's not like what is the Tesla robot? The not Atlas, whatever the Tesla robot is. I mean, if that's what he's talking about, No, it's not a Tesla bot. It's like
Xbot.
No,
it's robot.
Optimus. Yeah. So the Optimus robots, I think that Elon's goal is to make the Tesla bot be better at everything than humans, and then everybody will have a Tesla bot. You'll probably lease it with a like a service contract because those things are not just going to work forever. And people will forget to do even more basic things than what they do now. We were talking about finances earlier, Lisa and I, and she was telling me about this young girl who works in her office. And she was with her when she was going to write a check for the first time. And this girl was like, I don't know how to do this. Can you please explain this to me? And she was like, it's crazy that this girl is like 24 years old and she's never had to write a check. Nobody ever even taught her. I mean, they might not have taught me in high school about, like interest rates and derivatives, or, there's all kinds of financial tools that would have been awesome to learn about when I was younger. But they definitely taught us how to balance a checkbook. Like, I mean, that was like this long-term assignment that we had. We had to manage a fund, and we had to use the funds to, purchase things in class, and we had to spend judiciously. And at the end, we were just supposed to have some money left over in our accounts, and we had fake checks that we would write.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was looking for that healthcare thing. Couldn't find it. I did find this from Elon where he says, let me share my screen. I couldn't find I know there's another one. But this one, he says, government healthcare is like having the DMV as your doctor. Grok and Optimus will provide incredible healthcare for all.
Will it be free?
I don't know. It'd probably be cheaper.
I mean, if it's free, then that would be awesome.
Yeah. What kind of student loans do you think an Optimus bot would have that it would need a high salary to pay off?
I don't think it would have any student loans, because it would take, like if you've got an Optimus bot that's supposed to be a world-class, surgeon, or they would probably have them specialize in certain things. Like, well, this Optimus bot is a podiatrist. This Optimus bot is a neurosurgeon. This Optimus bot is a heart surgeon.
Well, I'm sure they could all be programmed to do the same things they all do.
Yeah.
It wasn't a real question. It was a rhetorical one.
Okay.
About the student loans.
No,
we should do, Zach.
Yeah.
We should probably get to our first sponsor.
We should probably do that.
And then we'll maybe talk a little bit more before we get to the last part of our Montauk series.
Okay.
Here we go. This is a new sponsor, Unshaken. Books.
Some stories aren't meant to be summarized. They're meant to be felt. When the mind breaks and the body fails, and faith is the one thing left to reach for.
Through the frost, I saw him clearer than ever. I knew my story wasn't over. They called it bipolar disorder. I called it a betrayal of my own mind. But even then, grace found me. My body failed me, but God didn't. What should have been the end became the opportunity for an unshakable new beginning.
Unshaken by Denise Pimentel is a raw memoir about surviving bipolar disorder, a near-fatal stroke, and rebuilding life through faith in God when everything collapses at once. It's not motivational fluff. It is a real survival story, quiet, honest, and lived. You can find it now in print, ebook, and audiobook at glorifiedwriting.com. Thank you, Unshaken, Denise, for being a sponsor of the show.
Appreciate it, Denise. Now, someone in the chat mentioned something, and I was actually going to bring this up. A lot of sports stars, celebrities, they are cloning their pets.
Oh yeah, Tom Brady did that.
Tom Brady cloned his dog. And, this is something that I struggle with. A lot of people, I think, would say that animals don't have souls, but I think that animals undoubtedly have a life force, but I think that it's different than what we have.
I have heard all dogs go to heaven.
I've definitely heard that as well. So I don't know if it's like the same thing. I mean, I think it's fundamentally different, but I think that whatever it is that inhabits our body as our spiritual essence, I believe that, animals have a spiritual essence as well. And it is, it's crazy for me to think. I mean, these dogs and cats that are cloned, I mean, they essentially behave exactly the same as the animal that they were cloned from, and they love just as much, and they're just as loyal. They are, for all intents and purposes, the same kinds of pets. And I just, at the end of the day, I look at all life as precious. And if I didn't know someone was cloned, then I don't think that I would be able to tell that they were cloned.
Yeah.
But I think it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom Brady, I mean, it's super expensive. It's very rare that people are going to clone him. And like the point of it is to have the same dog with the same behaviors. So, you know, I understand why people would want to do it, but also like that's a part of life with the dogs. Like it's an important one too. That's I don't know. I mean, I would say some very formative parts of my past were dogs passing away.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
I think it's part of everybody's. Ash says she believes she'll see all her animals again.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly what I believe too. Like, you know, I that's why I hesitate to say a soul in the same way that humans have souls, because, you know, but who knows? You know, maybe we get to heaven and all of our pets are there. And not only are they there and they remember us, but like they can actually talk to us. I think that, you know, I mean, I talk to Muffin like right now, like as it is. Like we can speak to each other and I know what she wants, and Chi-Chi too, to a lesser degree. Muffin is very intelligent though.
Hey Dad, do you remember when you jumped into the pool naked to save me from drowning?
Oh man, he's like, spoiler alert, Zach, I was supposed to die that night, but because of you, I stuck around another 10 years.
Oh, so funny. Anita happens to make a good point that God's covenant after the flood included animals, everything that had flesh on the whole earth.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Good point.
Yeah.
But ultimately we'll never know until we get there, for those of us that do get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, how about we jump into the rest of the Montauk series? We do have another sponsor, but we're supposed to wait a little bit longer to get to them. So
okay, we can do that.
Let's kick it off.
All right. So just if anybody wasn't here for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the Montauk Project, Montauk Project, however you want to put it, and Camp Hero, which is on Montauk, Long Island. There's some strange things about that, but probably the strangest thing is its connection to the Philadelphia experiment. Now, last week, I touched on a man by the name of Al Bielek in the conversation that we were having about, oh God, we talked about a whole bunch of people, but, you know, the guy, oh God, what is his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Hold on just a second. I've got it written down. Preston Nichols. That's why. Okay. So Preston Nichols was a man who alleges to have worked on the Montauk project at Camp Hero. And he essentially had memories that were suppressed, meets a man by the name of Duncan Cameron. Duncan Cameron, turns out, also had suppressed memories, also worked at the Montauk Project. And then another man by the name of Al Bielek came into the story. So I also told you that Al Bielek was also Ed Cameron, the brother of Duncan Cameron. So let me go back and let me tell you about Duncan Cameron first. So Duncan Cameron is actually Duncan Cameron Jr. He was...
I'll be honest, this is the part, like last week where I was like, I don't know, like... This guy went back in time and is living as the same person, just in two different parts of the timeline.
Well, let me break it down for you, because it's a twisty one. It's very, very twisty. Okay. Excuse me. My throat is, honey, would you make me some tea? That would be awesome.
Wow. You think she's gonna make tea when you say it like that?
I said, honey, would you?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But you didn't say please.
All right. So I will say thank you when she arrives with it. All right. So Duncan Cameron Jr., he was one of the sailors aboard the USS Eldridge when the experiment in the Philadelphia experiment was conducted that sent it through time. So it was it disappeared in the harbor. There was like this green fog, this mist that encapsulated it. And for everybody who was there in the harbor, the ship just disappeared. For the men that were on the ship, it was actually catapulted forward in time to 1983. So 40 years into the future, from 43 to 83. And once it gets to 1983, obviously, they've got to figure out how to take it back. But before we get to that part of the story, in 1943, when Duncan and his brother Ed Cameron were both stationed on board the USS Eldridge, they were in the Navy, and they were working in the control room. And in this control room on the USS Eldridge, there was all kinds of experimental electronics, things like, generators and power coils that had been developed by Nikola Tesla as part of his research, which was folded in after he left the project. And it was the electronics in this control room that would be used to create the electromagnetic field that would encompass the ship and then take it into invisibility mode. And in this particular case, take it on a trip through time. So during the experiment itself, they were pretty deep inside the ship. And this is ostensibly what explains why they weren't affected in the same way that like most of the men were affected that were standing on the board. If you'll remember, some of them just went crazy. Their brains were scrambled. Others were very badly burned. Others were melted into the ship. Like it was like their atomic structure came detached at the same time that whatever they were touching did, and they fused with it when it came back into like corporeal reality. So all of
this
these
is when it went to the future, and when it came back from the future, that's when all these people had these issues.
I think that it was probably bad when they got to 1983. There were injuries, there were bad things that had happened on that first trip, and then they had to do a second trip back through. But because they were in the control room in like the bowels of the ship, they were encased in all of these layers of steel. And so they didn't have the same types of injuries, but everybody else was totally messed up. So that very first experiment that worked to send it through time took place on July 20th of 1943. The ship completely vanished for 15 minutes, and that first trip did not damage people as badly as it did the second time. There were, just about everybody who was like on the bridge was nauseous. There were lasting psychological problems that people had after that. It was the second trip on August 12th that took it to another level where it actually went through time. So it wasn't just, visibly and physically invisible. It was literally gone. Like it went through a time tunnel. And that was what did everybody in. So thank you, honey. I love you. So the from people who were there, from people who have allegedly come forward, scientists that were involved in the experiment, the survivors themselves, there was actually a set of unidentified flying objects that showed up 6 days before that test on August 12th. And these three UFOs, for lack of a better word, UAPs in modern parlance, they show up, and on the day of the experiment, because they had been watching, but on the day of the experiment, they were relatively close to the ship itself. And one of these UFOs got sucked in through the rest, got sucked in with the ship and traveled through time along with it. Yes.
So it also went to 1983?
Well, it went through the time tunnel. Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment.
And this is according to witnesses.
Yes. Ed and Duncan were there, and there was Dr. John von Neumann. He was one of the scientists who he basically took over for Nikola Tesla after Nikola Tesla left the trip. So,
but there's like no video or
no, there's no
photographic
video
evidence of any of this.
No, there's no video. There's no photographic evidence. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Just the firsthand witness testimony of people who claim that they were involved. And then, of course, we have like the limited documentary evidence of, things that these scientists were working on, Tesla and von Neumann. Obviously, the base itself, the stories that I told you last week about the residents of Montauk who were like, yeah, there was weird stuff going on. And, there were certain times of day when things would, be weird. The animals would act weird. Sometimes the kids would act weird. But anyways, on this second trip, which also sucked in one of these, this UFO, okay, I'll tell you. Eventually, the UFO ended up in like an underground, I guess, bunker at the Montauk base, and there is definitely experimentation, investigation, attempted teardown that took place throughout the many years that the base was open.
According to all these time travelers. Yes. So on August 12th, when this second, more successful test takes place, once again, Ed and Duncan Cameron are in the bridge, or in the control room, rather. And for about 5 minutes, everything seemed to be cool. There wasn't all of these crazy side effects that people were experiencing. And they thought that everything was going well. So once the ship vanishes and the people in the harbor can't see it, there is some type of electrical breakdown that begins to happen inside the control room. And for whatever reason, Ed and Duncan are like, okay, this is obviously not going well. I don't know if they were perhaps in contact with people on the bridge or on the deck or whatever you call it. But they could see that things were going wrong. If I remember correctly, I want to say that like maybe people were screaming, or there was some reason based upon the behavior of the crew. They believed that this was not good, that things were not going well. So in the midst of the experiment, they try to shut the experiment down. And so they're, flipping switches, and they get to the point where they just start like smashing stuff. And then they figure, you know what, we got to get out of here. We just can't stay on this ship anymore. So they run up to the bridge, or the deck rather, and then they jump overboard, thinking that they're just going to jump into the water because they think that the ship itself is going to explode. And it was when they jumped into the water that they fell through time, and they ended up at Montauk in 1983. So when they show up in 1983, Dr. John von Neumann is there at Montauk, and immediately these guys are rounded up by the military, and they're escorted into one of the buildings. I don't know which one. I'm so sorry, but I just need some clarification here. They were in the middle of a river, ocean?
They're in the harbor, Philadelphia.
A harbor.
Yeah.
How far away was the harbor from Montauk, the base?
I mean, miles? I don't know exactly. I mean, I could probably pull up something that would give us a map or something like that.
But the story is like they're doing the time travel thing, or they're on the boat and they're beaming it or whatever, and they recognize something's going wrong, and so they jump into the water, but they didn't end up in the water in the future. They ended up inside a bunker.
They fell through a time tunnel or a time hole or something like that. Okay, so the Philadelphia experiment, it specifically took place at the Philadelphia Naval Yard, which is, obviously in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So let me see.
How far is Philly from Montauk?
Philadelphia, PA to Montauk, New York. It's about 200 miles, 212 miles. So,
I mean, I just feel like with my vast experience in time travel, I feel like when you come out the other side, you come out in the exact same location, just many years either in the future or the past. And so it's just weird to me that they were showing up in like a completely separate place.
Science ain't an exact science. All right.
Especially
Either way,
when you're making it up.
Dr. John von Neumann, because he was there when the ship disappeared and he knew that Ed and Duncan didn't come back, he was waiting for them. And he had taken, what he had experimented on with the Philadelphia experiment. And, there's a lot of other things that happened there. I mean, obviously we won the war. The Project Paperclip happens. They roll a bunch of these Nazis in. Harry S. Truman completely reorganized the intelligence community. They created the CIA out of the OSS. All of these Nazi doctors and scientists and military men, as well as Italians. I mean, they captured some Italians as well. They integrate into the American government, and Werner von Braun, he starts, doesn't start NASA, but I mean, he basically spearheads the rocket program. And so they bring all these Nazis in, and I've always said that had a profound effect on the direction that the United States took. I mean, it was only after the creation of the CIA and the importation of all of this Nazi brain trust that MK Ultra started. I mean, the Nazis were doing a bunch of heinous human experiments.
Yeah.
And so then, that brain trust is integrated into the American government. And, I mean, it's like, who actually won the war? I mean, if if it was us,
the bankers,
but we were completely, co-opted by these, heinous ideas that, allowed us to, dehumanize and lessen the value of human life in the interest of science or national security. And I've always said that I don't think that that's so much winning as as it would be if we had just outright won and America kept raging.
But what does that have to do with the time travel thing?
I'm saying that during the time that, well, because another aspect of Montauk is that there was mind control experiments going on there.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I'm saying that from the time they left to the time they came back, things had become very different. And obviously the America that they knew was not the America that they were, now visiting.
Of course.
And of course, you've got all of these programs that were taking place in the meantime. So von Neumann was on the Philadelphia experiment. The war ends. We bring in all of these new experiments and programs. The CIA is created. Von Neumann goes to Camp Hero, and they're working on the Montauk project there. So he tells Ed and Duncan that he was waiting for them to return, and what he needed from them was to send them back to 1943 so that before the experiment successfully took place, they could turn off the generators and end the experiment, effectively stopping themselves from going through time, stopping all of the men on the Eldridge from becoming psychologically and physically damaged. And who knows what could have potentially taken place in America if that experiment hadn't gone off and all those things that happened.
Whoa. So somebody from the government,
Dr. John von Neumann, the man who was running the experiment,
figured out that, hey, we successfully time traveled here, but I'm going to send you guys back to stop us from ever time traveling because some people got sick. Like, when has the government ever gave a shit, like in the pursuit of anything? They're not going to stop their ability to time travel because people went psycho.
Well, it's not just that people went psycho. They also melted into the deck, and who knows? All right. Like, that's the one thing that I know that was terrible on that day. How different could the world have been if the ability to time travel? And I'm also not saying that by the time, they got there, that all of the kinks were worked out, but like, what else did they do in those intervening years? I mean, what other heinous atrocities had befell mankind as a result of the work that happened during the Philadelphia experiment? I don't know. Maybe he was going to send them back with information to make sure that the test eventually would go off without a hitch. All I know is that they were told by von Neumann that they had to go back in time. They had to go back to 1943. They had to turn off the generators before this entire thing went down, and they agreed to it. Okay. And
they were using generators?
The generator to create the electrostatic field or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not a scientist and I don't know. I mean, obviously they've never produced schematics, but I'm telling you the story. I'm telling you that this is the story. All right.
I'm so just plain skeptic.
Of course. So
real easy with this one, by the way.
Did you ever watch the movie?
No.
Oh my God, you've got to watch the movie.
Did
The
they
movie
end
is
up
so good.
like? Did they end up changing locations when they time traveled in the movie, or did they end up in the same space?
They did change locations. Yes.
The
yes.
hell, this just does not seem realistic.
So von Neumann sends them back. They agree. They do a couple of trips, actually, and they don't melt. They don't go crazy. They've got a couple of different trips and assignments that they do for von Neumann. And then eventually their plan is to go back to 1943 for good. So they end up going back in time. They reappear on the Eldridge. They shut down the generators. And essentially, the only way they could do it is to destroy the equipment. So just before the Eldridge returns to the proper place in the time stream, which would have set everything right and put these guys back into their lives, Duncan, for whatever reason, goes back through the time portal and 1983. Now, it's because Duncan had repressed memories, and he's the same one who was programmed to kill Preston Nichols, but then when his memory started coming back, he decided not to, and then they did a book tour. For whatever reason, he goes back, and it's kind of thought maybe he had been programmed to do so by von Neumann when he was back in 1983. So once he gets back to 1983 and he doesn't go back or for whatever reason, he finds that he's unable to travel back again. And because of I don't know if it's the number of times that he time traveled or just the manner in which they, achieved this, or the fact that he came back when he wasn't supposed to, Duncan starts to age at a fantastic rate. So he basically begins the process of dying, and you can see him aging visibly.
Is there pictures of at least that?
No, there's no pictures of that.
Of course.
No, of course not. So this is really gonna.
Yeah, wait, hit me. No, hey, before we do this, we should do some CB Distillery spot real quick.
Go ahead.
I forgot to put it up though. Just a quick reminder for those in the chat, questioning my intelligence. I'm not claiming to be smart, but also just keep in mind that my role on the show here is to play the skeptic.
That's right.
And ask the dumb questions. So just bear with me. And really bear with Zach, because he's the one that's put up with me this whole time. CB Distillery, guys. What if your only resolution this year was to get better sleep? Just imagine how much more energy you'd have. You'd handle stress better. Pretty much all your goals would be easier, right? You might even be able to figure out how to time travel. That's why the smart way to start 2026 is with CBD from CB Distillery. Get this, over 90% of CBD customers say they sleep better with CBD. That's tough to beat. And when you get better sleep, everything feels easier. And CB Distillery has options for more than just sleep. It has solutions for stress relief, mood and pain after workouts. You can shop by benefit, so it's easy to find what you're looking for. Everything from CB Distillery is premium quality, third-party tested, and free of artificial dyes or fillers. And they have over 2 million happy customers and a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're ready to start the year off right, go to cbdistillery.com and use code BASELESS for 25% off. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code BASELESS. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. You know what, Zach? We also got a studio ad I think I'm going to do really quick. And that is, let's do Rumble Wallet. Do you have Rumble Wallet activated yet?
And I talked about it 3 times on my show earlier today.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we are having people donating in Bitcoin. It's pretty great.
Me too.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they love to use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators fast and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and take a step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. There we go. Thank you, Rumble Studio. Thank you, Rumble. Thank you guys for getting Rumble Wallet and testing out a Bitcoin donation.
Yeah, Frodo Baggins has been dropping Bitcoin like almost every show. It's pretty sweet.
Like the Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings?
I think it's definitely him. Yeah. I mean, his avatar is, not from the Shire, but I'm just assuming it's him.
He's probably got a lot of gold and silver. He seems like a guy that would be heavily invested there. Makes sense. He's kind of diversifying.
You know what on the Rumble Wallet, you can buy Tether Gold, which it's not just like pegged to gold. It's actually associated with the physical gold itself. Yeah. And when you want to cash in the Tether Gold, they'll send you the gold bar.
But you have to buy it in bars, right?
Well, I don't know if you can buy it fractionally or if you can, only buy the bar, but I just thought that was really cool. I mean,
yeah, it's a great idea.
If you own a lot of physical metals and you keep them at a vault, like you've got to pay for that storage space, and that's just forever eating away at the value of your money. Either way.
They should do that with silver too. They should do that next.
I think, that would be a great idea. All right. So obviously they've got to figure out a way to save Duncan. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know the science. I don't know the methodology. But all I can tell you is that the scientists at Montauk managed to save Duncan and reverse the aging by transferring his consciousness into a new body. Okay. Now, how did they get him a new body, you might ask? Well, I'm glad that you did, because the new body.
That was not the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask a few other before that, but maybe eventually.
This one, it really twists me up because it kind of goes along with the conversation we were having at the start of the show. So how do they get a new body? How do they get a body that is going to, accept the signature, if you will, of Duncan Cameron's consciousness? Well, they got a hold of Duncan Cameron's father, Duncan Cameron Sr. This is the father of both Duncan and Edward. And they used the time portal and they contacted him back in 1947. I don't know why they didn't go back, more recent or further back in time. I don't know why they chose 1947, but they chose 1947. They tell Duncan Cameron Sr. that we need to save your son's life. So the only way to do it is for you to have another son and then sacrifice that new son so that we can insert the consciousness of your first son into your second son. So
what the fuck, man?
I know, it's wild. So the replacement body, a new person who I'm assuming had a soul because he was born as a result of a coupling between Duncan and another woman. The new Duncan Cameron Jr. is born in 1951. And then when he was 12 in 1963, the scientists at Montauk transfer the original Duncan Cameron's mind into this child's body, which forced the soul or the consciousness of the second Duncan Cameron out. And I have not been able to find anything explaining or rationalizing this particular part of the story. Like, it's just repeated as, accepted lore. Okay, like this is it. So
none of that makes any sense. Like, what if the dude was shooting blanks? What if he couldn't have another kid? What if
he had at least two with two different women?
What if he had a daughter? What if he didn't have a son? Like, there's just so many holes. Why did they need it to be his dad? Why couldn't they just go take a baby from anywhere?
Why couldn't they just clone him?
Why couldn't they just go back in time like they said they were going to and stop him from going on the thing, and then he wouldn't have aged like that in the first place?
Because allegedly, as some side effect of either the number of jumps that Duncan Cameron did or the way that he jumped back on that final trip when he wasn't supposed to, he was like severed from his ability to travel through time.
And how did they do was it a head transplant, like, or brain transplant or something?
No. It was a consciousness transplant.
How do you do that?
I have no idea. Probably similar to the the way that you travel through time, John. I don't know.
We lost all that technology when we went to the moon.
So they transplant old Duncan into new Duncan. All right. So he's 12 years old in 1963. And back in 1943, Edward, who did not jump back out of the ship, he is on the Eldridge. And the final test was run in October. And this is the one that they did with the unmanned vessel. And the controls for the experiment were on another ship. So, it's like they can control it without themselves having to be present on the ship. And after this test is conducted, they discover that a large amount of equipment that was present on the ship when they made it invisible is totally missing. So there's a bunch of generators, transmitters, primitive computers. I'm not exactly certain, but when it came back and all this stuff is missing, they were like, you know what? And it wasn't bad enough that all of those men were melted into the ship, and half of them are psychotic now. When we lose all of this equipment, this is going to be it. This is the last one. So they effectively abandoned the experiment because they believed that it wasn't going to be possible to have this work before it was necessary to really have it be of use in the war. So Edward,
we never were going to fight another war again. Like what?
Yeah, maybe.
Dude,
But
there's just so many holes in the story. So how did they send the ship to the future without anybody on it and get it to come back without anybody there in the future to send it back?
So you had Dr. John von Neumann and the Montauk Project and the sum total of 40 years worth of research and refinement on the original technology. And when they sent Ed and Duncan back, they successfully stopped the experiment. Maybe there was, I'm assuming because it's not part of the story. I mean, maybe there was going to be another experiment that was even more catastrophic. And Duncan and Ed were going to be on the bridge and not in the control room. And they were going to die entirely. But by stopping this experiment in this time, they reset the timeline. And then they were able to eventually perfect the technology and get it to the point where, 40 years in the future, they would be able to send them back safely and they wouldn't have to worry about all the nasty side effects. But either way, because Ed is back in 1943, he is obviously uniquely qualified after the work that he had done on this experiment and then traveling and going to Montauk and all that stuff. And they discovered that Ed, would be useful in a number of areas. So he starts working on experiments in the Navy for the U.S. government on, like over unity, free energy type stuff. And at some point during his career, his mind was wiped. He was made to forget everything that happened during that time. And he had, no memory of it. So let's talk about Ed's story and what happened to him when he came back. So Ed Cameron was born in August of 1916. He was born in Bayshore, Long Island. His father, again, was Alexander Duncan Cameron. His mother was a woman who was not the same mother as his brother Duncan. And because his father had children with two different women, and the father fought in World War I. He joined the army before World War I and then fought in World War I. They were raised by their aunt. And this is actually something that we can verify. His aunt Arnold, which I believe that was on his mother's side. Or no, it must have been on his father's side because the aunt essentially raised both he and Duncan. They were raised in a mansion on Long Island, and the Arnold family had what was essentially like the very first department store. It was called the Arnold Constable Emporium or something like that. Hold on, let me look this up.
I'm so confused the direction the story is now taking.
Okay, so this was like the Arnold Constable and Company. Okay, what I'm saying is this is real. Like this family existed. The store was real. They were fantastically wealthy. They closed down in like 1972. They had been around for like 150 years or something like that. And so the aunt raises the boys because their father is out, whoring and warring, and
as one does. Yes,
the mothers are not around. Ed ends up going to Princeton in 1932, and he finishes up his education with a PhD in physics from Harvard in 1939. Now, while he was going to Princeton, he actually met Dr. John von Neumann at that time. And
was he a teacher there or something?
Excuse me?
Was he like a teacher there or something? Or
I believe he was some type of academic staff. I don't know exactly what he was doing. I just know that he was studying and he had some reason to be at Princeton at this time. So after Ed gets done with Harvard, he and Duncan get recruited into the U.S. Navy. This is September of 1939, and they go to basic training, 90 days. And when they get out, they claimed to have the rank of lieutenant junior grade. And the reason they went in was at the behest of Dr. von Neumann, because Dr. von Neumann was recruiting them to be involved with the project, which would become the Philadelphia experiment. Now, I don't know if perhaps Dr. John von Neumann in the future went back to himself and said, these gentlemen need to be part of this experiment, or if they had been tracked at some point in the past. But when they became involved, obviously everything in their life was turned on its head. And Dr. John von Neumann teaches both Ed and Duncan about, so Ed had a degree in physics, all right? And essentially von Neumann, when he's bringing them into the experiment, he's like, whatever you learned in school, that's bullshit. We need to teach you like the real truth about physics and gravity, time travel, quantum physics, all of these things, which perhaps were experimental at the time, how it actually works. So this was so that they could learn the basic technology, which was the underpinning of the experiment, which would allow the ship to go invisible. I'm not even certain that at this time, as they were developing the technology, if they knew exactly what they were doing. It wouldn't surprise me if the ultimate result of the experiment, where obviously they go through time or they go into another dimension, whatever it might be, probably surprised a couple of people.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Catch me off guard.
So you remember much of the research that was the underpinning for the Philadelphia experiment was initially based on Nikola Tesla's work and to a lesser degree, Albert Einstein. Ed claims that while he was working on this project, he actually met both Tesla and Einstein, and they were developing all of the math that was used behind this project. And in September of 1940, they did a first test using the technology that this group had created, and that very first test was at the Navy Yard in Brooklyn, New York, and they were just using like a small ship. And at the first test, there was no sailors and just some supplies and stuff like that. And once they did that first test, the U.S. Navy took over the project and brought it under the auspices of the Navy exclusively, and they called it Project Rainbow. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president at this time, and he's the one who told the scientists and the team working on this, he was like, what would be really sweet is if we could make a battleship invisible. So that's what we're going to ask you guys to do. And I'm sure you remember we talked, the reason they wanted this was because, the U-boats had been really successful in taking out our ships. We were essentially unable to see them. And also remember, there was a German U-boat captain who was captured and then brought on to work on this experiment and the project at one point. So while they were working to scale up the technology to create this modified battleship that they would be able to make invisible, Ed and Duncan were assigned to the USS Pennsylvania. And they were scheduled to leave for Pearl Harbor on December 5th, 1941. And their orders were canceled because they already, well, the government already knew that Pearl Harbor was going to be bombed. And these guys were allegedly too valuable to send in and allow them to be killed along with everybody else. So there, and we've talked about this before when we talked about Pearl Harbor. There was foreknowledge of the attack that was coming on Pearl Harbor, and FDR needed an excuse to send the United States into World War II. So
if these guys were so valuable, how come they didn't have like any government jobs recently when they started telling these stories?
Well, they did. Ed ends up working, in a bunch of different capacities throughout his life. And Duncan was gallivanting through time. I mean, through most of those years, through most of those years that he was gone, I mean, he was, it's like a blink of an eye for him, but you've got decades that are passing in this timeline. So
I'm going to put that in my Twitter bio.
Gallivanting through time.
Gallivanting through time. I love that. Okay, you keep talking. I'm going to do that.
All right. So after the test on the USS Eldridge, Ed marries a woman by the name of Mary Jane. They have a son named Jeff. And Al says that he also has mothers of 4 other children that he sired, but the memories are not with Mary Jane. These are allegedly 4 other women. So after he comes back and Duncan has slipped through time again, Ed gets transferred to Los Alamos National Laboratory in July of 1944. And this is where the bulk of the knowledge and the technology that was developed in the Philadelphia experiment was moved into Los Alamos. And while there, Dr. John von Neumann comes in, and Dr. Edward Teller are also there. That this time they were developing the atomic bomb. So Ed had access to all of these files at Los Alamos, and he went through them. I don't know anything other than to say that, but he claims that time travel was kind of discovered by accident in 1936, somewhere close to the Bermuda Triangle. There was a Navy ship that disappeared and then reappeared 2 months later. And when he started asking around about this, like, hey, this is kind of familiar to what we were doing, he was basically told to shut up. You're not supposed to hear about this. You weren't working on it. It's not for you. So while they were working on the hydrogen bomb project, Ed and Dr. Teller disagreed about the weaponization of this product and, the weaponization of fusion. Ed thought that it was going to be too dangerous, and this ended up getting him kicked out. He was forcibly separated from his family, and he was sent to Washington, D.C. He ended up getting, he thought he was going to get charged with treason because he was essentially trying to stop the project from going forward. So,
as he was ordered to.
Yes, as he was ordered to. Yes.
From the future.
No. At this time, Dr. Teller is his boss, and he's like, we're building a hydrogen bomb. And Ed is like, fusion is unpredictable. You shouldn't do this.
I thought we were talking about the time travel thing.
No, not yet.
Different project he was trying to get canceled.
Yes, this is after the time travel. And of course, this is also after he had discovered that time travel was previously known in 1936. But
I got you.
Neither here nor there. So the government says, you're going to have to keep working for us, and you're not going to be able to see your family anymore. And he never had a good answer on why his family had to be separated from him. But obviously that gives the government a little bit more autonomy with, his person and like what they can do with him. So the next project that he worked on was on the Mach 1 project at Edwards Air Force Base. He worked with a couple of Top Gun pilots, Jack Ridley and Chuck Yeager. And
you say pirates?
Top Gun pilots.
Oh, I thought you said pirates, and I like that sound. That sounded way better. But does this guy work on like every major project or claim to? Like every?
Not everyone, but a couple of big ones.
Okay.
Nice. All right. So after the project is concluded, he and Jack Ridley go into business with each other, and they start a company in California called JRC Enterprises. And JRC Enterprises was working towards the creation of an ion propulsion engine. And they get funding from the military, and they were successful in 1953. They had a successful test. And at this point, Alexander Duncan Cameron Sr. in 1953, so this would be 2 years after the birth of the second Duncan Cameron, Alexander Cameron gets involved in the project. And I guess that he brought in some funding, or on the business side, he was involved in some way. But there was another group that, I don't know if they were military contractors or if they were some rogue element working on other top secret projects, but they didn't like what JRC Enterprises was doing. They were a lot more powerful than them. And Ed has suggested that a group called the Cristaldi Research Group had something to do with this. I can't find anything about them. So if you want to, dive in on that, the Cristaldi Research Group, CRISTALDI. So he believes that basically they were ordered to murder him. And Ed gets kidnapped, gets taken from the test site, and they send him back to DC to go back to the Pentagon. And he gets taken to McLean, Virginia. They put him into a portal, and he comes out the other side, not on this Earth. He's on Alpha Centauri 1, which is, I don't even know where that's at. All right, but it's not anywhere close to here. So now when he goes to Alpha Centauri 1, he is interrogated by a group of aliens for several days. After he's interrogated for several days, they send him back to the Pentagon. And when he comes back, I don't think that he's quite the same. They never gave him any more assignments, and he basically was taken to Montauk in August of 1953. When they take him to Montauk, he's brainwashed, and he is physically regressed to infant Al Bielek. His body and his consciousness are quite literally reduced to himself as a baby. And this was through some use of alien technology. And they don't just reduce him and let him grow up from 1953 on. They send him back to the year 1927.
The government sent him back in time.
The government sent him back in time to 1927.
What year was this? What year was this that he got sent back again?
1927.
No, but when did they sent him from?
1953.
After they had already gone back in time and stopped the time travel program, they would later send him back in time anyway.
Yes.
To 27.
To 1927. And this is where he gets the name Al Bielek, because Al Bielek was a baby that died, and they sent him back to replace that Al Bielek. So when he gets regressed, all of his memories are essentially wiped. Well, I mean, he's already had his brain wiped, but I mean, like, he has no concept of being Ed Cameron in the mid-20th century. And he claims that he actually remembers being about 9 months old at a Christmas party with the Bielek family. And he also says that as a baby, he had like full understanding of adult conversation and the English language. And he was basically very intelligent for a baby and for a small child.
Did nobody notice that about him?
I don't know if the new parents, well, I mean, they might have just thought that he was super smart, I mean,
Top Gun Pirates.
I love it.
Put this on a shirt.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
All right. So, so he grows up with this family, and he's very intelligent. And before he ends up actually graduating from high school, he took some type of a test that placed him on the radar of the Navy again. And the Navy once again recruited him, and he ended up, going and joining the Navy again. So he got an education in electronics. He was a contractor. He did a bunch of different projects, working on stuff, working for a number of different military contracting firms. And while he was doing that, in 1956, as he's a military contractor in Hawaii, I don't know what this has to do with anything related to the Philadelphia experiment, but he somehow had a run-in with Mark Hamill,
like the
actor, the Trump derangement syndrome.
Did that happen on this planet? Was it while he was?
It was in Hawaii, and that's
Luke Skywalker,
almost like another planet.
Okay,
but I mean, what year was Mark Hamill born?
I don't know, and I really don't care.
Oh, I want to see how old Mark Hamill was in this interaction that he had
when this totally real meeting happened.
He was born in 1951, so little Mark Hamilton would have been 5 years old at this time. So shortly after he meets Mark Hamill, and I don't know if this, what that has to do with the story at all, but this is when he gets recruited as Al Bielek into the Montauk Project. Now, he would work, in California at his day job as a military contractor, and then he would take an underground subway or train or some type of underground transportation system from New York to Montauk, Long Island, and then he would work at the Montauk Project, and when he was there during the mid-50s, he helped to perfect the time tunnel. And once that happened, rather than sending him, this is the time tunnel. Yes, this is the official.
Calling it now.
This is the official name for it. Once they perfected the time tunnel, it was no longer necessary to have him take the cross-country subway. So they would just teleport him directly from Montauk back into his apartment. Boom.
Just this one guy. Were they doing this for anybody else, or was he the only one that they got? Like he was that important.
He's the only one who came forward and wrote a book about it. I mean, besides the other guys that we talked about. But this story is particularly unique.
That's one way to describe it, for sure.
All right. So throughout the 1970s, as he continues to work on the Montauk Project, he becomes the program director for the psychics who would use the Montauk chair to enhance their abilities. And if you remember, Preston Nichols was also working with the psychics in
the Montauk chair.
That's right, the Montauk chair. Mm-hmm. And there's another guy that we've talked about in the past, Stuart Swerdlow, whose story is remarkably similar to the anonymous person we talked about last week, who was essentially taken as a boy and brought into this program and endured some, MK Ultra level mind control stuff going on there. But Al was, working with these kids. He was working with the psychics. He had some influence over the Montauk Boys program, and he basically was in control of the MK Ultra stuff, I guess. Like the mind control stuff, not the torture. Just I guess, I don't know. Maybe it never sounded like, I've never heard him in interviews talk about doing any type of sadistic or ritualistic stuff. But they were definitely working on mind control technology at Montauk, and he was there. So now, if you'll remember, we're going to jump back to Preston Nichols and Duncan Cameron. Duncan Cameron is Al Bielek's brother, but
also
he's Ed Cameron's brother. But Al Bielek was regressed and then grew up with a new family. Duncan was actually transplanted into the body of a new little boy. So they're not the same ages. They don't look the same. They don't have any memories of each other, but they're all working together at Project Montauk.
This story is so hard to follow.
I know, dude. It's this is why it's taken as long as it has for us to go through it, because it is so wild. And yeah, it's definitely one of the stranger ones.
So what's like the relation? Because there was two of them living at the same time that were technically the same person according to their story. Like, if one person committed a crime, oh no, it was a different body.
Well, yeah, it was a different body and it was a different name.
Man,
and similar consciousness, maybe the same soul, but they're two different places. I don't know. So
okay, keep going.
All right. So during the early 1980s, when the program was still going before it was shut down, Al took part in some of the time travel experiments that were going on. He and Duncan claim that they traveled to Mars on several occasions, and they were also, going a bunch of different places. One such claim is that they went to 100,000 BC, and they also went to other planets, as well as the year 6037. Now,
where didn't these guys go? Or when didn't these guys go? These guys are all over the place.
Yeah. I believe they also went to 2137. And in 2137, they were actually hospitalized for a time. And because they were, I don't know if they were physically ill or they were just in shock because the United States that they went to was not the United States that they left. The map of the United States had been drastically altered. Parts of the country were different. The shoreline was different. Vast swaths of the United States had been decimated in war. It was a totally different thing. But that's really a different tangent.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
I feel bad for continuing. Well, I don't really feel that bad. These are genuine questions.
Don't feel bad.
It's my role in the show. Did at any point in time these guys pick up a sports almanac or like, hey, I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin or I'm gonna invest in some silver and bury it here so I can get it lit? You know what I mean? Like, you'd think that at some point, time traveling all over the place to all these different places, they'd maybe benefit themselves financially at some point.
Well, you have to remember at this point they don't have any conscious memory of this.
The loophole.
It is a loophole, but in January of 1988, a little movie comes out. Guess what it's called?
Back to the Future?
The Philadelphia Experiment, John.
Oh, man, I was so thinking of Sports Almanac and Back to the Future. But okay.
So now this is several years after the base is closed, after Preston Nichols and Duncan Cameron have already reunited. They've got their memories back. They have already done their own investigation. And, mind you, Preston Nichols does not claim to have traveled through time or anything like that. Duncan Cameron has the aforementioned, experiences that I explained. So after the movie comes out, Al's memory starts to come back and he starts, getting flashes of things. And then he reunites with Preston and Duncan. And by this point, they've had far more memories come back. And at this point as well, Dr. John von Neumann once again tries to get in touch with them. And I guess that at some point in the past, von Neumann had promised Ed Cameron that if his memories ever came back, then they would be back in touch with each other. And they make the decision to go public with their experiences, their involvement at Montauk, the Philadelphia experiment itself. And Ed went on to have a prolific career as a speaker. He did a lot of radio programs and a lot of interviews.
Fiction.
What's that?
Any fiction writing?
No, I mean, other than the books that they wrote, which they claim are nonfiction. Now, here's the thing. This story is nuts, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Al's recounting of this has been, well, during the time that he was alive. I want to say that he died in 2005.
Did they transfer his consciousness to keep him alive eternally?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't transfer his
This time they decided it was time to be done.
I mean, at that point, the base had closed and the experiment was over. So
yeah, and we lost technology and
that's right. That's right.
Proof and, yeah, okay.
But,
anyway.
but I mean, his recounting of these experiences remained the same, and you know, these three stuck together, and you know, they were fairly adamant about the fact that, you know, they had these fantastic experiences. And you know, I mean, you might ask, you know, hey, well, why didn't they just kill him? Right? I mean, like, he's coming forward, he's, you know, releasing all this information. I don't know. I can't tell you. Maybe because it was just easier to let him talk because it's so fantastical. I mean, who's, you know, some people are going to hear. No, you're not. I know you're not buying it. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who wouldn't buy it either. And, you know, I mean, anytime memory comes into it, you know, there is the distinct possibility that because of what was learned during MK Ultra, somebody could have false memories implanted in them. Now we go back to, like, you know, several weeks ago with the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. False memories could be implanted in someone's mind. Somebody could be given a post-hypnotic suggestion to, you know, give them this incredible backstory and, you know, fill in all these gaps in a life that never happened, while at the same time, you know, truly fantastic things, you know, technologies that maybe we don't know exist or have an understanding or even a baseline for, they may be out there. And I'll tell you, this will be the piece de resistance for the story.
I can't wait.
I have a friend who actually knew Al Bielek in real life, and they were friends for many, many years.
How close of a friend is this?
They were very close friends. He actually texted me tonight after
How
he
close
heard
is this guy to you?
Oh, he's very close. My friend Harry. Yeah, he's an archaeological researcher, and he was known for something called the Illinois Caves, which Harry believes was the final resting place of Alexander the Great and Cleopatra, and it would be here in the United States in Marion County, Illinois. I don't remember
where he
if
thinks they're buried.
Yes, there was a burial site in a cave that was discovered by this guy by the name of Russell T. Burroughs, and Harry had access to all of these artifacts, and you know, it's another show in and of itself. But
let's do it.
Harry is a good guy. Harry's a close friend of mine. We've known each other for many years. I saw an interview that he gave many, many years ago. Well, actually, I think maybe I came across him because I was researching, like, you know, forbidden archaeology, ancient, you know, forbidden archaeology. And I came across his work, and I learned about the caves, and I was like, you know, hey, I reached out to him, and we just became friends. And so, like, you know, I designed a couple of websites for him and helped him put out, he had a book that he had written. I helped him put it out in an ebook format, and went and visited him. And he's a good dude. We still talk to this day. Anyways, he texted me tonight after he saw me mention that we were going to be talking about the Cameron brothers. And he said, I was good friends with Al Bielek for years.
Wow.
And I didn't know
about him.
No, because I was not in a position to get into a long conversation. Just said, love you, brother. Good to hear from you. I'll call you later. Maybe he saw the show.
I would be curious. Like, you know, obviously when people make crazy claims like that, or what seem crazy to us, to get somebody's perspective of, like, you know, personal friend, like, yeah, his character is not like that, or yeah, he was a little out there, but he's a good dude, you know, it'd be interesting to get his perspective.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Quest, Aaron Moriarty says, please pray for my friend Andrew D. Basiago.
Oh God. What's going on with him? I mean, I know he's been sick for a while, but yeah, Andrew Basiago is the guy who was involved in Project Pegasus. We went over his story here on the show, and he also was sent through time, was also sent to Mars with Barack Obama and a whole bunch of other people. And I would recommend, if anybody doesn't know Andrew's story, go back and watch the show that we did on it. But yeah, I think that, and I don't know, Aaron, if you can comment on this, but when Andrew came out, he was, I felt like after he first came out and he began talking about this, I felt like he was threatened by the Obama administration, and that they basically told him, like, you need to stop.
Really?
Yeah, he kept talking, but I mean, it just, I didn't feel like it was the same. I felt like there was a change in him. Okay, Andrew, or Aaron.
He said he'd tell you off the show.
Yeah, that's fine. Andrew has his own show on Aaron's channel. Definitely subscribe to Aaron and go check that out. Because Andrew is a fascinating guy. Tragically, like, going blind, maybe completely blind at this point. But he was a lawyer, and I mean, he would still be a lawyer. But I mean, that was, his career. And yeah, he had a fantastic story too. I mean, anytime somebody has a story that just seems so far removed from, your own personal experience, it's difficult to even, just consider it. And I totally understand that. I mean, even for me, hearing, going through and piecing together like these three men's lives, which, are really just two men condensed into these, like, different time streams. It's difficult to imagine that it could possibly be real. But when I sit down and think about it, I am convinced that the government has technology that would essentially appear like magic if it was to be demonstrated to me right here. And I think that the same thing would happen. Like, if you and I could go back to, like, feudal Britain, and we came across a group of radish farmers, and we demonstrated something like a vape or our telephone, like, they would be like, oh, good God, they would totally freak out. It would be like, burn the witches.
Yeah, that's like, isn't that in Star Trek when they go to that planet and they're not supposed to, like, show themselves? They end up, like, coming out of the water and, like, freezing the volcano, and they completely changed. It's in the new Star Trek movies. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
Like one of those few. But totally mess with people. They don't understand the technology. But anyway, are we having Frank on next week?
We are having Frank. We're having Quite Frankly on next week, guys. You were successful.
Yeah, I'm excited to get him on board.
Dr. Uke says, how is the government so dumb and yet brilliant enough to operate such tech? Because the government is not a monolith. It's not like an individual consciousness. It's not like, we've got this single individual who is, handling all of these things. The government is a bureaucracy. I mean, it's a collection of minds operating in compartmentalized silos. So you've got, people of varying levels of intelligence with a variety of many different skills and disciplines. And, plenty of those people are just total morons. A lot of them are smart as well.
Yeah. Being in government does not require you to be a moron, but or no, how would that saying work? Not everybody in government is a moron. No, not everybody who's a moron is in government, but everybody's in government is a moron. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever.
It's like the Venn diagram of Kamala Harris.
Yeah, we got some rants and some boosts. I think real quick we should get a couple more ads in. I think we should do some beard oil too. Your beard is looking great, by the way. Mine's coming back.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm definitely wearing that Soft Disclosure beard oil tonight.
Hell yeah, softdisclosure.com.
Get you some of that beard oil.
Now that I'm alone, got the close up. Do you see how awesome my beard looks right now?
I use the beard oil every single day. First thing.
Comes out feeling all silky smooth.
I take the dropper and I manually apply the oil
To
directly to my mustache.
Nice and, oh man, I love it.
And then I do drops all throughout the hair, and then I just rub it all in. And then I top it off with the tallow stick on the face.
Dude, I feel like I have to grow a beard just to try this beard oil. It sounds
Do it, Jay.
amazing.
It's all from softdisclosure.com, and the best part about it is you'll be supporting Badlands Media, Annie from Willow and Farms, and basically 3 of Annie's neighbors. So that's 5 total American companies that you'd be supporting with one purchase?
I have been using the Soft Disclosure scentless beard oil every day after the shower. It looks unkempt, but it feels silky smooth. I want to look a little wild and unapproachable, but for the woman I trust, she'll be like, oh, it's actually kind of soft. He is approachable after all. Otherwise, stay away. And Soft Disclosure will help you too with that if that's the very specific vibe you're going for.
That is very specific, yes.
You guys are supporting American businesses when you do that. It's absolutely incredible, and you get a great, great product.
Softdisclosure.com. Gonna rub it all over your face. That's what I do. Yeah. I'm also gonna do one more Rumble wallet ad read.
Do it.
Really cool. They're putting these in here. They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you, they control you. That's why financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, secure, and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. Thank you, Rumble Wallet and Rumble Studio. Appreciate that. All right, man, let's do some housekeeping. First up, for those who aren't aware, we do conferences all over the country. We got a good crowd here right now. So welcome to Badlands Media. Hit the thumbs up, hit the follow. We have groups all over the country, like 60 plus, pretty much every state, where people can get together, like-minded individuals. Don't even have to like Badlands to be part of it. It's just a way for people in their community to get active, get together, and maybe fix things at a local level. But on top of that, we also do these conferences. Great American Restoration Tour, Guard 11, Nashville, April 9th through the 12th. This is going to be awesome. And tickets are now on sale. So you can get your tickets to this event, whether in person or virtual. VIPs, I think there might be some available, but they've been kind of flying off the shelf since we put them up for sale on Saturday. So no guarantees. So we got that. I think we got a couple boosts. You're going to be in Nashville, right, Zach?
I am definitely going to be in Nashville.
Is Lisa going to be?
No, I think Lisa is going to be staying home with the dogs. We were talking about it yesterday, and she didn't seem to think it would be possible. But I'm going to do what I can. Like, I'm going to talk to the kids and my mom and see if they'd be interested in coming here and hanging out for a couple of days. And if they will, then I will be bringing the lovely wife.
Awesome. Well, I hope she can make it. Hope you guys figure that out.
Me too.
1027JS says thanks for $20. Thank you, Joe. We just got a few rants here as well. ZBM, the only human you could successfully clone are redheads. No soul, no problem. They blend in easily. Hard to read that. Rebel on 365. How about Erica Kirk from Florida? Wait, what?
Suggesting she's a clone.
Yeah. Maybe. ZBM, don't think God would allow your pets to talk in the afterlife. You know how many people let their pets roam free while you and the miss are getting it on? Nobody dead or alive wants to hear those details. That's true. I don't know if that would be a reason.
Yeah, I mean, that, to be honest with you, that had never crossed my mind, that my pets might divulge my deepest, darkest secrets or kinks, as it were, I suppose.
He's into some weird butt stuff. ZBM, thank you guys for the best Baseless Conspiracy episode ever. I haven't smiled and laughed so much in a while, and it was much needed today. Zach, your storytelling is brilliant. John's reactions are LOL.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
I liked it
Interesting
too.
one, to say the least. Ramble on. The Hoover Dam powers CERN, in my opinion. The Hoover Dam. Was it a misspelling?
I'm pretty sure he must have meant the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam powers CERN. I don't know about that because the Hoover Dam is so far away from CERN. I mean, there's got to be a source of power closer to CERN?
Well, if they can time travel somebody, not just to a different time, but to a different place in that time, they could probably just divert a little power over distance.
I suppose so. If they have a
that
time tunnel at the point of the whatever kind of super wire they would have going through the portal.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be. Maybe we'll discover that tech when we get to like 7 or 8G. See what happens. Ramble, Badlands Media fan, thanks for taking us down this rabbit hole, Zach. Have a great night, gents.
Thank you.
Keith Higgins, I heard at the end of his life, Al Bellick needed help wiping his own time tunnel. Too many trips around Uranus.
Double rim shot for that one.
And then Faith in Q for $20 says, best commercials. Love you guys. Thank you. We appreciate that. There you go, man. That's everything. So next week we'll have Frank on.
Yeah.
Decide what conspiracy though?
Yeah, he's got a conspiracy. I want to say it has something to do with Venezuela.
Oh, perfect.
And you know what? I know what I'm going to be talking about after him, because I found a conspiracy about Venezuela, which I thought was fascinating. It's going to dovetail perfectly. I'm not going to tell you until next week.
Okay. Well, anyway, thanks everybody. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I'll be back on here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Daily Herold on Badlands. And Zach, you'll be on your show at 5 p.m. Eastern?
5 p.m. Eastern on Red Pill News. That's correct.
Ash with a rant under the wire says, if you can bend space-time like wormholes, then CERN could be right by Hoover. No, that's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Anyway, thanks everybody. We will see you next time we see you. Zach.
Peace.